Hey, yo, what's poppin', everybody? I want to welcome y'all back to the No Level Cap podcast. I want to introduce everybody to the crew. We've got the collector of collectors and Twitch streamer extraordinaire, Will Coleman. Will, I heard you haven't been doing much streaming lately, but what's next on the list for streaming?
What's next on the list is, like I said, is one of these damn Trails games. God willing, my internet service provider does not shit on my upload speeds in the dead of night.
Yeah, them ISPs, they just do you dirty. They like do kind of whatever. I've been having problems with my ISP like lately, but I mean, I also been like downloading hella video games lately. Like I just got Gotham Knights. Y'all pray for me. And I'm gonna go pick up a couple other games. I think I just got Cold Steel 4, and so like I'm trying to like run through Cold Steel 3 and then get through Cold Steel 4 in time for Trails of Reverie in the summer. So I mean, like it's gonna be a time for me. Next up, we got the Black Daredevil and the best actor in Austin, Texas. What's going on, Terrence?
I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a long week. The 9 to 5 grind has definitely been something, but you know, I'm here ready to talk about some anime. I spent like the latter half of today pretty much just catching up on everything. So I'm ready to test my knowledge, test my might, test your sight, test your hearing.
You know, we're probably not too far off from the next Mortal Kombat game now that you mention it.
Hopefully
God,
so.
It's probably like December. I'm betting the Game Awards.
Hopefully so.
Lastly, we got the living cartoon and the man with the golden voice, Rakeem Beck. What's going on, Rakeem?
Hey man, it's been a good day. I had a day off today, so I was able to catch up on some anime and some gaming. I spent I uncharacteristically stayed up a little later last night. I took a nap yesterday, and I just spent all night just kind of playing PC Steam games I just thought were interesting. So I got into Vampire Survivor the other day, getting into that kind of new genre that's emerging. I got into playing the new Gundam Revolution, probably put some matches down on that. Still getting used to it. I was very happy that it had controller support for PlayStation. I just plugged it right in. It was good to go. Everything was right, man. Sensitivity was perfect. I've never plugged the controller in and had perfect sensitivity before. So Gundam had me. That was pretty cool. And I actually played Trails in the Sky. So we're all trailsing around here. Just like you, Sage, I'm trying to finish up Trails of Cold Steel 3, move on to 4 before Trails of Reverie, and I'm pretty close because, you know, I'm a little farther than you are. So I should be done probably by, like, if I play tomorrow afternoon and maybe Sunday early, I'll probably be done with it. So, yeah, I'm catching up on a lot of things.
Those games are so long, like, because at one point you asked me, you were like, "Hey, man, you about done with Trails 3?" I was like, "Man, hell no! I'm at the end of chapter 4, which is like I'm at the start of chapter 4, is like the last chapter, and that's almost guaranteed 20-25 hours for whatever reason. So it's gonna be a while. I'll probably be playing that for the remainder of the year. Well, not all of that, but like I'll be playing that for the remainder of next month for sure. What's up, Keith?
Right. I'm about to say, guess how many hours I have clocked in for this game?
It's got to be over 100.
146 hours.
Hell no. I got 75.
Getting those Persona hours right there.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
this
man got lost at some point.
Some of those might be the playing the game and falling asleep
hours.
Oh, you know
what I mean?
Yeah. Wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, the game looking at you. Like, what you doing, dog? Play me. You know, something like that.
Protagonist just quoting that same line over and over again. Like, you know, that type shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Real quick, King, can you just take your mic and just like put it a little closer to your mouth? I think that would kind of
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'll solve you. Well, you don't have to swallow it, but yeah, I think where you are now is a little bit better.
All right.
Yeah.
Lastly, I am Sage Ashford, the man who won't shut up. And y'all know on the No Level Cap podcast, we talk about all the anime, all the gaming, and none of the bullshit. We back, episode 33. Y'all know No Level Cap goes live every Monday. If you prefer the video version, we're on YouTube. If you prefer the audio version, we're live on Spotify as well. We put up bite-sized clips of the podcast on TikTok and on Twitter. We everywhere. You know what it is. So like, I feel like we need to come on back because like before we did this thing where we would do, we talk about anime after we watch them, and then this time we kind of inverted it and just talked about like what we were excited for going into the fall season. And now we are like, 2-3 weeks into the fall season. And I'm like, no, we need to come back around and talk about it because this season was probably the most hyped season in at least a year, if not more than a year. With like winter 2021, maybe. I think it was the last one that was this hyped.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there was a lot of hype going into this season. It had like Bleach coming back. It had a whole bunch of other anime coming back. And so like I wanted to get in and talk about a couple of the bigger anime, and then we could also talk about some of the smaller ones, or like, you know, whatever caught your eye, whatever you like. Okay, I'm feeling this. And I think we ought to lead off with what I believe was our favorite anime for the spring, if I'm not mistaken, Spy Family.
Oh yeah.
Season 2 came out. We get into more adventures of Anya, Starlight Anya, excuse me, my bad.
Yeah.
We get into more adventures with Starlight and Anya and like the Forger family. And this, I mean, like the first 3 episodes, it kind of surprised me because it had a little bit of a story arc to it.
Yeah.
Terrence, how'd you feel about the opening episodes? How much did you watch and how'd you feel about it?
So I'm only 1 episode behind, like the one where I guess they actually get the dog, and that's just because I just ran out of time. I like I said, when I said that I watched everything today, I literally watched it today. Like I was going back to back, just trying to run through everything, and I wanted to catch it, but unfortunately I couldn't. So you're not going to get my thoughts on that. But it's good to have Spy Family back, even though it wasn't gone for too long. You could definitely tell they got a production boost. They got a little bump, like Shenron. You know, I put in a little something extra. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
this show is fucking gorgeous this season.
Yeah, it's looking good. Just from the outro, the ED to there were certain sequences where I noticed that the art and the animation just looked crisper. Like you could tell that the studio was like, we're getting money for this. Oh yeah, just throw it at it because it definitely looks better. But I do like this little mini arc. It was like I said, I haven't watched that 3rd episode yet, but I like it. Just the 2 episodes that I watched were really good. Just the level of action that's been taken up, which maybe that's, if I had maybe a criticism of season 1, and this is just a very, very, very slight criticism, is that, you know, but they were kind of establishing the family, so it's not really so much of a criticism, but more so like if they could, maybe like a little bit more action could have been tossed into it, but I think it was still like a perfect mix of it. But so far this season, it seems like it's firing on all cylinders. Like the action has been really good with Yor coming in and doing her little fight scenes, and then Lloyd with his spy stuff. Yeah, that's what I guess that's another thing too, is that we're starting to see more of Lloyd with his stuff outside of the main mission, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And then starting to see where these other, not like spies, but what would you call them? They're like not traitors, but pretty much people that are trying to pretty much
terrorists.
Just like pretty much there you go, terrorists. They're pretty much just instigating the war. You know, getting to see more of them. I think that's really cool. I really like the line that the handler delivered in, I think it was the 2nd episode, where they had captured a bunch of them. And she told them,
speech is goated. Like,
yeah,
that's gonna be one of the ones. Like, that's one. I already saw it on our anime earlier today, and I was like, that shit. She went off on them because, like, you could tell they were like, yeah, we just want to start a fight, and she was like, you don't know what you really asking for.
Yeah. She that was definitely one hell of a speech. So, I liked everything that I've seen so far. Like I said, it's good to have the Forgers back. Good to have Spy Family back. This is definitely going to be one of the, without question, this will be one of the contenders for Anime of the Year. Will it win it? I don't know. I feel like it should, just because this anime is arguably one of the most accessible anime to come out in a long time, just because it doesn't have a bunch of quote unquote like anime tropes, the kind of stuff that might turn off like
that weird shit that anime fans like. We kind of have to overlook, but like if you wanted to get somebody new into it, it's like they're not gonna necessarily overlook it. And so like Spy Family, like you said, it don't got most of that. Like that stuff. So
yeah, it's kind of like Full Metal Alchemist in that regard, where Full Metal Alchemist doesn't really have as many like anime isms about it, so that's why it's kind of a bit more accessible to the casual anime watcher. But yeah, it's good to have Spy Family back, and I'm happy to see more of it.
All right, Will, how much of Spy Family did you see, and what did you think of it?
I caught up on all the recent episodes at work today, and I gotta say, I'm just glad it's here. Like I'm really loving everything about it so far. I'm loving what they're doing. The 3rd episode, I love what they centered on. That's what I really like. I like that so much because we know what Anya got her Stella, and they want to get her a dog. And I'm just like, this is that whole episode just kind of just had me kind of grinning the whole way. But I loved it because there's another story kind of being told along the way about the dog, and I'm just like, this is something I want to kind of see them keep going with. Plus, it kind of gives you this insight to this connection that Anya and the dog may have, which is really fucking cool to me. I really like that. So I hope they kind of expand a little taste on that, just a little taste if they can, like, because all they showed was like quick flashbacks, and I'm just like, this don't tell me enough, but it's giving me an idea of what happened.
Now, of course, from my understanding in the manga, they start to delve a little bit more into like people's backstories. The manga has recently, I believe, started delving into Lloyd's backstory and like where he came from, the environment that he had to deal with. So you probably gonna get what you're looking for.
I can't wait then if that's the case. But right now, please, if you ain't watching Spy Family, please do. It's so worth it. Don't let the hype behind everybody fool you and have you turned off on it. Just sit down with it. It's a good time.
It's definitely a great time, but it's also one of those things where it's like you got to know what you're getting into going into it. Like there are some action scenes, like Terrence said, and they did step up the action this season, but like don't expect to be watching an action anime.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
and it doesn't need to be that. Not everything needs to be like guns a-blazing, like bullets flying everywhere. It's like that's not all anime needs to be some shonen blow up. It just doesn't.
Thank you.
We will get to that in actually a second, but you are correct that everything don't need. We got anime for that, and like I said, we're gonna get into that in a second. But you don't need all of that all the time. Like sometimes you gotta vary it up, and I feel like Spy Family does a great job of that. Rakeem, how much of Spy Family did you see, and what did you think of it?
I saw it all, and I have to say, I loved it. For one thing, this mini arc across these 3 episodes, what it established for me that made me really invested is that the stakes were at an all-time high from the jump. You knew that the consequences of this action would result in the loss of life for people. It would result in the relationship between these two mega powers, between the East and the West, coming to fruition, coming to a head. And if this went through, war would happen. So Lloyd's ability to solve this situation was paramount. But it felt like Anya was the real hero the whole time, like on the case.
I mean, if we're being honest, it felt like everybody but like Lloyd did the least amount of work.
He did.
Because like Yor was putting in work, and then Anya did work, and Lloyd did the cleanup. Like when you think about it,
he did. And I loved how they were kind of all on the case in their own way without even realizing it, and they kind of came together. My favorite part though is the inclusion of the dog and his weird supernatural ability that tied into the arc. And I like how every member of the Forger family is important and has a specific role that they play in the group. And the dog feels like another missing piece of the puzzle in a way where he kind of fits into their dynamic. And I'm really interested to see where it goes forward from there. I won't spoil what happens at the end of the arc for Terrence so he sees it, because that kind of wraps up that little mini story and some other things that happen. But I have to say, really enjoyed the arc. Like you said, the action was stepped up. The villains this arc, this Keith, the evilest Keith we've ever seen. I never seen
right?
Keith this evil. He's talking about killing little girls with knives, but he's telling other people to do it.
Even the henchmen were like, hey, yo, man, whoa, we don't need to do that.
Big Keem talked about this earlier, and I was like, I like his nerve, because he was like, yeah, and kill the girl. And I'm like, you do it. Like, you seen your henchman was like, I don't want to do this. And you was like, hey, go on over there, take the girl. I'm like, nah, bro, you want her gone? You got to do that.
Just say it again, bro.
Exactly. The villains had their comeuppance. I liked how the agency kind of played a role in this as well, trying to help out. The speech, as you mentioned earlier, his handler gave was really paramount, because I think sometimes, like, when we watch animes or any fiction, there's a lot of combat or battles. Not every medium does a great job of really making you feel like what war is and what the consequences of those actions are.
What's that meme about Gundam?
Oh yeah,
war is bad.
War is bad.
Ooh, cool shiny robot.
Too busy looking at the cool robot, like man,
that meme is about Gundam.
Exactly, man. Like it's sometimes you can miss the plot, focusing on things that aren't important. But I'm glad they kind of grounded us back into like the ramifications of these actions, which once again made the stakes feel high. And the creativity of Anya in this situation to kind of meander through these very dangerous men, getting her family in play, and of course everybody played a part as well. I always get the wife's name wrong. Yor, thank you. Yor was hilarious, and when you see what she does in the third episode, Terrence, you're not gonna believe it at the end. But yeah, I talked to Sage about this. It feel like Yor is from a different anime, and she's been dropped into a regular universe because some of the action she takes, it's like she's a superhero.
Oh yeah,
fighting regular people.
When she ping ponged that terrorist, I was like, "Holy shit!"
That was that was the production bump right kicking in right there.
I knew she was like strong, but like, and I was like, "Okay, well, she catch this dude, it's gonna be over with." I ain't realize it was gonna go like he started bouncing off shit, and I was like, "They not gonna say he did, but he did."
Well, he did.
It's over with for that. Like, you don't bounce off concrete 4 or 5 times and just be like, "Yeah, I'm straight." Like, nah, bro, you not you regular. So it's over.
One of my favorite parts was when she lost Anya and then she like turned to Spider-Man, just jumped up into the ceiling.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa! It was so quick. I was like, whoa, this is intense.
And nobody noticed until she jumped back down, and then one person was like,
he kept looking at her too. Yeah. I noticed that he kept looking at her.
I will say in the upcoming season that's going on right now, although is this like a split season or is it just?
I think this is a split.
This is technically the second half of season
of the first
one.
season.
Yeah,
it makes sense. It feels like it. I hope to see more of yours. Other side, the assassination side, because like we get to see glimpses of it now, but like I feel like there's an opportunity to kind of delve more into that. We've seen a lot more on your side lately. We've seen Anya on her adventures. Starlight Anya, of course, on the job. She's committed to the mission. She's committed to the mission. And she's all sails ahead on that mission. But I want to see more from Yor. I think her story is very interesting, especially how it plays into her brother and their relationship and everything going on with that. So overall, really enjoyed it. I'm so glad Spy Family is back. It's a breath of fresh air every time it's on my screen. So I'm looking forward to the end of this season. And I hope it does win Anime of the Year this year.
It's a strong contender for it easily. But like this also feels like a really strong year, or at least to me, it's a strong year.
Oh yeah, this is one of the strongest years for anime, in my opinion.
Like it's not one of them years where if like Spy Family ran away with it, I wouldn't be upset about it. But I'm also like, it really should be closer because there's a lot going on this season and this year. So like, I'd be kind of shocked if it just took it easy. But like, yeah, overall, it's rare for me to smile this much while watching an anime. And I mean, like, I don't watch a lot of dark anime, but like, there's still just nothing makes me smile as much as Anya, just going around. Cause like the show never forgets that she's still like a dumb kid, right? Like she's a 4-year-old kid. Like she not no super genius. She like, the only thing she knows is like, okay, I watch this little TV show every day and I put together stuff from that. And I know how to do these certain things and that's it. But like there's certain, like when she starts trying to figure out like, okay, how do I avoid this bomb going off? And she's like, how much time do I have? And then you could tell she was kind of clever. She's like, okay, the clock went bong. All right, but what does that mean? And she looked up at the clock and she was like, I don't know how to tell time.
I can't tell time.
Then she asked somebody and the dude was like, yeah, you got like 30 minutes. And she was like, okay, I got 30 minutes. And then she was like, wait, how long is a minute? I'm like, yeah. This is definitely a kid. And like, so, and like, I actually felt bad for her because I'm like, this is a very high stress situation to put on like a fucking 4-year-old and like a regular 4-year-old at that, like not regular because she can read minds, but that don't help her in every situation. So like, I was like, dang, this is really high stress. I was like on the edge of my seat. Like Keem said, they did kind of raise the stakes. I'm like, okay, how's she gonna get out of this shit? Because like, this is a lot. Now I will say that partner character that Twilight had was like on some bullshit. Because like that, Anya painted a big sign in blood that said no, and it had like a bomb. And the grapefruit part, all right, I got you. But the shit said no. And then dude was like, we ain't got time for this. Let's open the door. And I'm like, you ain't got time. Like, it's clearly something wrong here. Like, don't touch that door.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I talked about that with Keem, and Keem was like, "Yeah, that's like why he's a side character and Twilight's the main character because he immediately knew, like, all right, maybe we shouldn't fuck with that door." Like, it seemed kind of like a warning. One thing that I will say that we kind of skipped over, at least I don't think y'all skipped over it on purpose, but I feel like I gotta say something. Man, that OP is gorgeous. Like, might be the best OP I've seen in like years. Like the usage of fall colors, Bump of Chicken. They went off on the song. They've always been pretty consistent. They've never, to me, and this might be piss some people off, but like to me, they've never quite been at that overworld level where everything they get is a banger. But like I'm never upset to see them or hear them rather. And like this one was really good. Like the song really worked. The OP is just like Terrence said, they leveled the fuck up on animation because this shit like and Spy Family, the first half of this was gorgeous, but this is like on another level. Like I was sitting there like I Keem got a habit of skipping OPs, and you know he commits the cardinal sin of skipping OPs. I'm never able to do that, but I really can't do it for this. Like it's so pretty, and every time like I watched it. I watched the third episode just before the podcast, and I was like, "Ah, man, I'm on a time crunch because I got to watch something else, and I should really skip the OP." And as soon as it started, I was like, "I can't. Nope, it's too pretty." So like, I shout out to them for that. The Edie is also really pretty, but like, it's just and also the cosplays are gonna be insane because they got Yorin some looks. She looking.
Yours already cosplayed like crazy. Like just the red sweater look and also the black outfit. Like, yeah, she's gonna be cosplayed for years to come.
Yeah, she gonna be one of them characters that like in Japan they have the new type polls and shit where they like vote on popular female characters, most popular male characters. She gonna be one of them ones. She gonna be one of them top characters for a while, like Terrence said, for years to come. Only thing I will say without spoiling anything. I ain't gonna say that. That'd make me into a villain. I almost said something just straight up evil.
Well, shit. Now you're gonna have us wondering what you were talking. Are you gonna say?
It's low key a spoiler because you hadn't seen the third episode yet. But I'm actually no. You kind of gonna know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I don't really care. I mean, I didn't see it, so I mean that's my fault. So it's not really that big of an issue.
Lloyd should have shot that damn dog. I'm sorry. Fuck off.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, because the second episode did end with. Actually, it's a good thing you brought that up because I was wondering about this. Like, damn, are we gonna kill a dog? But I was like, you know how we are. We'd rather kill a human than kill a dog anyway.
Facts.
So
that's how it always is. So.
People will cringe at a dog being killed, but a human being killed is like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, you gotta understand. You gotta remember too that these were like trained, experimenting on dogs, highly trained. It's an asset more than.
I thought about that after the fact because they showed Bond's history, and I was like, okay, y'all just gonna do it to me again, huh? Because I seen Anya's history and I was already sad for her, and I'm like, fuck, I just want the good things to happen to you. And then I saw Bond's history and I was like, yep, you've done it to me again. And seeing them two happy, I was just like grinning. Even after I finished the episode and started watching some dumb shit that I'm gonna talk to y'all about later, I was still just like, okay, this is great. What's up, Terrence?
One thing, since you brought up the dog, in the first episode of the season when they went to that shop with the dogs in it and the three dogs in the window, I liked how the dogs were like flexing.
Bro, I'm like, why they in here like humans, bro? What is this?
And Anya was just not with it at all.
She ain't want none of them dogs. Like what? But then Lloyd was trying to get us some type of like trained attack dog or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't want these fucking dogs. Like they ugly as hell. All right, so we've talked about Spy Family, and so now you know what we got to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see some action,
gotta be the center of attraction.
That shit was fire, bro. That trailer was fire, and like, man,
yes.
It's been a while since I watched Bleach. Bleach was always my favorite of the big three. I'm like even when I wasn't like I gotten over the big three for the most part. And I mean, like, really, I'm old enough to remember that in America it wasn't the big three at first. It was just Bleach and Naruto for a very long time. If you don't pretend like you forgot. I don't like if you older than I'm gonna say 28. Don't come up in here talking about some. No, it was always the big. No, the fuck it wasn't. Wasn't nobody talking about no One Piece till Bleach till Naruto ended. till Bleach ended. When Bleach ended, that's when y'all was like, let's see what this One Piece talking about. Because in the 2000s, y'all wasn't watching no damn One Piece. Stop it. It was popular in Japan, but y'all wasn't nobody watching that shit over here. Stop.
Yeah, it didn't really catch the wave until like later in the 2010s.
Yeah, exactly. Like early 2010s, like 2012 was when I started hearing people talk about One Piece is this and
because
One
more
Piece
people
is that.
started really reading the manga. That's really what it was. It wasn't like people were watching the anime. Don't get me wrong, but like the anime just hadn't taken off in the same way here as it had in Japan at that time.
Well, it had the same. I mean, like, remember it was on 4Kids. Well, not on 4Kids, but it was on Foxbox with a 4Kids dub.
Yeah,
and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
And so we all saw it. I definitely watched episodes of it, but it just wasn't all of that. It was like weak. It was a bad dub, and that dub kind of turned me off. And then like the handful of hardcore fans on like the internet, which this is pre-Facebook internet, so that's how far back we talking. But like the handful of hardcore fans that I saw on the internet kind of turned me off the rest of it. So I just gave up on that show. But like it never rose up. Like nobody ever really talked about it in like real life, and it just wasn't as ubiquitous as like Bleach and Naruto, which was always just starting in like 2007. You couldn't get away from those two anime. And Bleach was always my favorite of the two. Ichigo has always been one of my favorite characters. Just somebody that, first off, he wasn't no dumbass. He wasn't like Naruto. He wasn't like Luffy. He wasn't like Goku. He kind of knew, he had good grades. He was smart. He knew what was going on, and he didn't take no shit. He had that. He kind of followed life after Yusuke. He was like a smarter Yusuke where he talked shit. He wasn't putting up with nobody nonsense, but he wasn't like street. He wasn't like only street smart. He was book smart too. So I always fuck with Ichigo, and I'm happy to have him back. I'm happy to finish this arc off, even though I think the villain is probably one of the dumbest fucking villains they ever created.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna spoil the villain because that's so far off. You don't like nobody knows. If you are anime only, you don't know anything about him. But like,
you waited 10 years to be an anime only.
if you 10 years in and you anime, like I can't spoil it now. Like,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
If there was no announcement, I would. Like, if we was just talking about Bleach for whatever reason, and it was just like, oh, I'm finna just talk about, we just talking about Bleach. I just spoil it, but I'm not gonna do it now. But like, when y'all see what this dude's powers are, all I can tell you is that sometimes you give a villain so much power, you've made it dumb, and there's no way for the hero to win without something dumb happening. Like you've done too much. You give him too much shit. That's not. Sometimes you made a mistake. But for right now, we still in the early parts of it, and I do want to know what y'all think. It's 2 episodes out. Will, what did you think about it?
Okay, so for that one, I actually ended up getting a chance to catch that like here at home. I didn't get a chance to get deep into the second episode, but Lord have mercy, that first episode. I don't even have the words to describe how happy I was when this motherfucker Strawberry pulled up. I'm just like, yo, he back. The boy is back in town. He's amazing. Look at him. He in control. He has it. Even Orihime's back with all her bread. Don't you just love the little references right there? She came with a whole plate of bread. I'm just like, look at this. This is amazing. They gave my people life again. That's crazy. I don't even have much more to say. I'm just like, Bleach is back. Bleach is back.
It was like that. You know what though? Like, even though Will kind of like lost at a loss for words, he got a good point. Like they had that opening episode was a hell of an intro.
Yeah,
like a hell of an intro. Rakeem, what did you think? Like, did you like it? Like, did you like the first 2 episodes?
My brother, when I watched this episode, and so the episode begins, of course, with like some rookie Soul Reapers who are coming in and do their normal.
They send them niggas there.
I don't know.
Why?
It's just like they set them up.
And then that one dude was like, homegirl was like, if you scared, just say so. He's like, I'm scared. I'm scared.
Why you saying that, boy?
And then she was talking all that shit. And the first thing they run into, she get mollywopped. It was crazy. But I have to say this. It was reminiscent to me watching this when I first played Final Fantasy VII Remake. Ooh. When Cloud Strife jumped off the train. I said the exact same words when Cloud Strife jumped off the train as I did when I saw Ichigo stroll in. Welcome back. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Man, it's like, if you had never seen Bleach before, if this is your introduction to this group, first of all, if it was your introduction to this group, I'm sorry, they lied to you. They made these guys like a perfect team. Like all four of them were
They
useful,
did.
and they were like
never
the
lied.
Fantastic Four. And they all equals. That is not Bleach. It's
Hell no.
it's the
It
Ichigo
ain't.
show, and will always be the Ichigo show.
It's just
But
like
that's
Dragon
okay.
Ball.
Yes, but I will say this, man, the respect they gave that man coming back, it felt like that man was godly. Like I said, if you've never seen this before, and this is your first introduction to Bleach and into this protagonist, into this group, you thought, man, these are them dudes. These dudes are, oh man, they show. And then having the rookies come in first as a comparison was genius, because this is the difference in levels.
Yeah.
This is where these guys are at, and this is where the heroes are at. And they're at a very high level. Also, I really enjoyed in these first two episodes, they immediately established the bad guys. I forgot what the Wazenritter.
It's German. It's like Wandenritz, Rich.
Wandenreich.
Wandenreich.
Wandenreich,
Yeah. You're gonna hear a lot of
Wandenreich.
Spanish and a lot of German in this show.
Stall.
Yeah.
And yeah, as my one of my roommates said, like, I don't know, like my guy Kubo always messed with them Axis languages. Like it's a lot of like German, a lot of Spanish, and you just like, hold on, bro, like what's going on? Like normally they do like gratuitous English in anime. You know, they just be sneaking in English phrases for no reason, just because it sound cool. But Kubo was like, nah, fuck that. We finna get like spicy with it. We gonna get some languages that like people don't normally bring into anime. So like, yeah, it's the villains are the Wandenreich, and then I think there's another group, like a subgroup, the Stahlritter. Nah, I'm thinking of
That's what got me. Cold Steel.
Yeah.
But yeah, they established these guys off the bat. They were a danger. They went to Soul Society, killed a whole bunch of Soul Reapers. Like it was ridiculous. And then like went to like Yamamoto's like right hand man and took him out, and then tried to attack him. Of course, they weren't gonna do nothing to Yamamoto. But still, they established themselves as a threat immediately, and kind of like I talked to Sage about this earlier. The pace, and Sage will probably get into this later too. The pace of this was like nonstop.
Yeah. Okay. So
Did not
like we
stall at
might
any point.
since it's here. Anybody else feel like it's moving at like a breathless pace? Like the episodes feel long, but not in like a bad way. Like you can tell they're adapting a lot of chapters every episode.
I'll put it this way: it's the opposite of the way the OG Bleach anime was done, where it spent like 5 minutes recapping and then finally got to the episode, and then not much really happened. So it felt like the end of the episode just came about really quick. But this is like it's snappy. It's going at a really good pace. So yeah, I agree. It's good.
Sometimes it's so ridiculous. The pace is so quick that like twice now for both episodes. You know how they'll get to like the midpoint and cut away and like you do your eye catch and stuff like that. Both times I was like, okay, that was the end of the episode, huh? Like, all right, cool. And it's like, no, we got more. This is the second half of the episode. I'm like, holy shit, they not playing around. And I looked it up just because I was like curious. I'm like, how many chapters are y'all adapting per episode? And it's like 4 to 5, which is like what it tends to be when you like adapting a complete arc. And you're like, okay, well, we can just take our time and get through at the pace that we want to get through. And so it tends to be 4 to 5. That's what JoJo did. That's what Magi did. Like and it makes it really snappy and it kind of improves on it. So like, yeah, I agree, Keem. Like it does like, and I think it works better. Like, what do you think, Keem?
I think it works fine. I mean, no one will ever say this is boring or slow because it's not.
Oh no.
It made me invested because I'll be honest. I enjoyed Bleach, but I never watched the entire series, every single episode. I watched the first 100 episodes straight because you know how that 100 episode rule. And then from there on, I would watch certain things my friends were watching, or watch like certain like the run car battles and things like that. Of course, the Aizen battle, the major events from there. So coming back to this, it was kind of fresh for me. So like it was kind of nice to be introduced to some of the characters. I will say. One thing I did like at the end of the first episode when Ichigo fights the Quincy, the Arrancar Quincy thing, whatever the Arrancar being worked with the Quincy's,
the Arrancar being a slave for the Quincy,
yes, a slave for the Quincy's. When he revealed his big secret weapon that allows him, like, how are they beating all these Soul Reapers? They have the ability. The secret is they have the ability to stop Bunkeyes. And he tries it on Ichigo, and Ichigo's like, what is this? And I was like, yeah, Ichigo basically said,
He really
I've been
pulled up
going all
on
this
you.
time. You were not about to embarrass me on my first episode. This my
You just
show.
go pulled up on
I
that
might
man and
just-
said, "Relax."
Relax, son. This is my show. That stuff that works on other protagonists, it don't work on me. I ain't one of them. So that was pretty dope. I will say, like, it is interesting too, like going to the second episode, how they're delving into making the run cars more of a, I guess more personality, more endearing, because they're kind of the underdogs and they're getting the ones getting attacked and slaughtered and enslaved, and like Ichigo has to basically save his mortal enemies from the past arcs. Of course, you know, exceptions to the rule, several exceptions to the rule, of course, to that too.
Oh, of course,
But
yeah.
it's interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. The villain already, like you said, he looks ridiculous. I mean, he like destroyed some of his own henchmen without even moving. So I already knew it was some BS. I was like, oh crap. He was calm about it too, which is a little scary. I think the calmness he had while he was doing it, that was a little creepy. I'm looking forward to seeing more from him, and I look forward to seeing how it progresses. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I can't wait to see more.
Terrence, what did you think of the first first 2 episodes of Bleach? Did you watch both?
Yeah, I watched both. For the first thing I'll say, this actually isn't commentary on the book on those episodes, but just people won't know this, but we originally not all of us. I think Will, you weren't the only one. You were the only one that wasn't here, but we talked about Bleach returning years ago, back in college, like when we were trying to do like another show at that time. This is way back. We talked about Bleach having like a quote unquote final act, kind of like Inuyasha final act. So like Bleach having a final act. This was like 9 or 10 years ago. And so it's crazy to see after all that time, Bleach has finally returned. And you know what? For all my gripes with Bleach, like I don't have like any, I have my criticisms of Bleach, but I still cannot deny that it was influential for me. It was like one of the anime that I watched a lot of, like toward the, let's see, Bleach. When did Bleach come out? It was like that was
In America,
we were in high
it came
school,
out in
weren't we?
2006.
Okay, yeah, so we were in high school. Yeah. So well, I was in high school. I can't speak for everybody, but yeah, when I remember watching it in high school and then into college, and then that's when I discovered like watching like anime on certain websites online. You know, this was pre Crunchyroll in a sense, so you know we had to watch it, you know, the other way. But yeah, I fell in love with Bleach just because there was nothing like it at that time. None of the other shonen were. I'll always give Bleach credit for being one of the first shonen to really portray people of color in a better way than most anime. I put it that way. Like a lot of other anime, you know, the way they'd show like black people or other like minorities, yeah, they'd have us looking kind of goofy. But Bleach was one of the first ones that had us looking clean. You know, we had people like Chad, we had Yoruichi, just the fact that there's just so much Spanish sprinkled throughout the Hueco Mundo arc and just like Hollows overall is just really cool. Kubo has a really cool style. I'll always give him his credit for having just this really cool style with his characters, whether it's like the art or just the presentation.
You paired him
overall.
with a writer?
Yeah, man. If you paired him with somebody who could write, Kubo would be one dangerous man. But just for these 2 episodes, it was great seeing the gang back. It really was. The animation and the art is looking crisp. You could tell that they're going all out for Bleach and deserves it. Bleach definitely deserves this comeback. I'm very curious to see how this arc goes. I heard people talking about the second episode and how it already surpasses the manga in terms of how the way the manga presented it versus the anime. And, you know, my thinking is, well, it should. I mean, you had all this time. You might as well make it better than the manga.
Yeah,
but
time and the money. So, like, what is the excuse? Get it
yeah,
right.
So I'm very curious to see if they make any kind of big changes from the manga to the anime, because like you talked about, Sage, and like I said, I'm not going to get into any spoilers or anything like that, but the villain for this arc is pretty stupid. It just because of how ridiculously powerful he is, and I mean Aizen was ridiculously powerful. So
this is well, you know what? Aizen's one of the only people with the ability to counter what this dude has, and so like he's gonna become like really important. But yeah, as dumb as Aizen is, this guy is just as dumb, if not worse.
Yeah, I mean, just like Raheem mentioned, him just kind of like sitting on his throne, just cutting people with little effort. It's just, yeah, whose man is this? So we'll see how that goes. You know, we'll see if they keep him the same way and that comes to bite them in the ass, and people like question like, why is this dude so powerful? I mean, he was like that in the manga, so I mean they didn't change anything. But
Fair enough.
it's good to see Bleach back. It really is. Yeah, and then that the ED for like the special ED for the first episode where they showed like clips from the OG anime and just everything coming back together. That was really nice. I'm not gonna lie, watching those 2 episodes, it makes me want to go back and read the manga just to, I feel like, kind of catch myself up, because there was characters that I was seeing. I was like, oh yeah, I remember him. I remember that person, etc. But I feel like it's been so long that I don't have the same ties to them as I did way back then. So I feel like I kind of need to refresh myself a bit. We'll see. I mean, I might just watch the anime for what it is and not really worry too much about diving into the details. We'll see. But yeah, overall, it's just really good to have Bleach back. And I hope that the quality continues to be on this level.
Oh yeah.
I agree. Like it is. Bleach was always, like I said, it was my favorite. It was never fundamental for me, but it was always like, you know, because I started reading the Bleach manga back in like 2003, 2004. I had to, it was online because like this is prior to it coming over here. It was not the next big thing. Like it was the thing that like people was hyping up online, and at that point, anime communities were so much smaller online. So it was like, okay, you've seen Naruto, now you want to check out Bleach. So I was like, all right, let me dig into Bleach. Let me get into that, see what they're talking about. And, you know, the first bit of it was unique. It's like unlike any other shonen. I take that back. It was like Yu Yu Hakusho, but like in a different way.
It was straight up like Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, it's like,
good point.
It's like Yu Yu Hakusho if they had been stuck in those first 5 episodes for a long time. So like, I got into it and I eventually became like a big fan. Just of like Ichigo specifically, like the universe is so like by the time the anime came out, I was all low key kind of over it, and like because I definitely did. I remember it coming on Adult Swim and just like not watching it. Like I felt like I was so far ahead in the manga that I was like, why would I go back? It's the same problem I have with My Hero, where it's like I'm so far ahead in the manga that I'm like, for what? But like seeing it anime, because like I fell away like towards the end, like as I was in like fucking college, and I'm like, all right, I've been reading this for like 8 years now, and you know, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc is kind of rushed in the manga. There are certain parts to it that Kubo was like, I don't have time for this, and he was like, kind of having like some health issues and stuff like that, so he kind of wanted to wrap it up pretty quickly. And you know, I am looking forward to seeing how it's done a little differently. I don't think that they change the Quincy like villain, like the main villain. I don't think they change his powers. I do think they add some fights, maybe explain some things a bit better, and hopefully that those revisions will help it be better remembered, because it's already like in terms of animation, this is one of the most beautiful shows. I'm loving what they're doing with like the colors, like the way that certain characters are like color coded, and it helps them stand out in their environments and shit like that. Beautiful. Like it's something that like I can't take my eyes off of it in like obviously a good way. And so like I'm with that. I will say I always hated the Quincy's, these Quincy's, like because they still in Bankai. That's just such a whole way to fight, because you like looking for you want to see what they can do, and it's gonna get worse. Like it's going to look worse as episodes go on, and you're like you have all these characters. It's just like they can't fight all out, which kind of feels like it steals the point of a shonen where you want to see like these two characters at their very best, fighting as hard as they can. And like the Quincy's are like, no Super Saiyan 2 for you. You stick to Super Saiyan 1, and if you can't beat me that way, fuck you. Well, I'm not a big fan of that, but like I'm looking forward to seeing how some of these fights turn out. I'm looking forward to seeing like how they adapt certain parts of it, because some parts of manga, and this might just be me, but like sometimes it's hard to tell what's going on in a scene. And so like seeing it animated kind of clears that up, and you gotta like instantly understand, okay, this is what was happening. The motion is like a lot clearer. And so like I'm like, all right, I can check that out. I can get with this. So I think this is supposed to run a year.
Yeah, because it said like 50 some odd episodes, right?
Yeah, 52, 55 episodes, which makes sense moving at the
perfect.
pace that they're moving. Because I think they're picking up from like either 300, no, 480, something like that. I think they're picking up from like 480 or something. And Bleach's manga ended at like 650, 665, something like that.
Really?
Yeah, this is a long arc.
Wow.
Like this arc is like 200, close to
Yeah,
200
this
chapters.
arc lasted a long time. Yeah,
this
Very
arc
long
big,
time.
man. Big arc.
probably arguably
mean,
longer than it probably should have.
Maybe.
They about to add some stuff to it. So, but I mean, if they keep moving at the pace that they're moving, it's fine. If you can finish a whole fight in an episode, I'm definitely down with that. And then I'll say so. I'll bring this up too. I think this is the first time any of the big three have ever gotten like a Kai or like a Brotherhood version that kind of like is not only faithful, but it clears the pacing up. Because like all three of the big three had problems with pacing back in the day. And this is what it looks like when there's no problems with pacing. And I'll say this, even though I kind of got over the big three, I was also really over Dragon Ball Z. But then I watched Dragon Ball Z Kai, and I felt like a kid again just because it was so much snappier and it felt like they was getting to the point. And just seeing things that took 12, 15 episodes, like, oh, I'm going to blow up Namek in 5 minutes, and it was like 12 episodes. And I'm thinking in Kyle's like 4 episodes or some shit like that, which is still way more than 5 minutes, but like much better, much more compressed, much better pace. So I fucked with that heavy, and I'm hoping that I fuck with this on the same level. So like I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes next. So there's another anime that is also a big deal. Okay, so everybody's laughing because I said we were gonna cover Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
And then they like before the podcast, they were like, Sage, you said you weren't gonna fuck with Chainsaw Man. Did you watch it? And I was like, fuck no, I ain't watched this shit. I told y'all I was gonna watch it. But I also am one person that's like, I'm not willing to like overlook something that people fuck, like the rest of the crew fucked with it. And I was like, all right, look, if y'all fuck with it, we got to talk about it. So like now I gotta know, like, what did y'all think of it? Rakeem, what did you think of the 2 episodes of Chainsaw Man you saw?
Man, it was an experience. I didn't know what to expect. I had no. I talked about this previously on the podcast. When I was looking into Chainsaw Man, I didn't want to know anything. But for literally probably a year, I would constantly see snippets of manga panels online.
Mm-hmm.
It would always be the weirdest shit you've ever seen, like astronauts, their legs coming through the ground, or like some weird creature popping out, dude with a dog collar on his neck. I'm like, what the hell is this? So because of that, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like the fan base online almost did all of the advertising for me to watch it.
Man, you ain't lying.
Man,
They
Exactly.
carried that show.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like how horror movies now, you guys know what I'm talking about. They'll have plants at certain things on TV, like a Smile had people at games with the person with the shirt on.
Randomly
and they would be
smiling.
standing and smiling. Or like when It came out and you saw the clowns that year. Clowns were everywhere that year. It felt like that, but with just regular people. They were like intentionally like putting in people's heads, this is going to be special. So I walked to the first episode with an open mind, and now I got to say I enjoyed it. It kind of has a 3D kind of cell shaded kind of look. Reminds me of kind of like certain video games from the past, like Borderlands or 13 or something like that. But not super cartoony, but like it feels a little different. The protagonist, man, was it Genji? He went through something. Dingy?
Yeah, Dingy.
Yeah, Dingy.
See, I always get names wrong. That's a recurring thing. So Dingy, that's a sad name for a brother. 'Cause the brother was
I just thought about Dingy. In English, Dingy.
For any Japanese viewers out there, Dingy in American and English means something completely different. And I gotta say, he fit the bill because when I first saw him, I was like, boy, this boy Dingy.
Hey, yo.
He came out dirty. It's sad. He had sold off parts of his body to pay back this debt to his father from a long time ago, and become basically like a demon, a devil hunter, because he found he had a pet demon that had a chainsaw. He had a chainsaw demon, or whatever. This anime is a lot of things. It has that kind of vibe of almost like One Punch Man, but it's definitely comedy elements to this, where it's not to be taken too seriously. but at the same time, it goes there as far as like some of the dark things like that. When he goes later into the first episode, when he does his hunt for the zombie devil, and it's like this room full of zombies and the creature that came out of there. It kind of went to almost like a horror kind of vibe to it. Very, very, very dark.
It did.
Very extreme. So it goes there as well. And I will say the vibe I got from the first episode, him turning into Chainsaw Man, I thought this episode would be kind of macabre. Macabre. Not macabre. Macabre. Macabre, more darker. But leading second episode, that was for Sage. Leading to the second episode, you got to see the lightheartedness of Denji becoming part of this like devil hunting group, getting associated with what's the young lady's name? He's who saved
Makima.
Yeah,
Makima.
Makima. Yeah, Makima.
Makima. And man, he's like a. I ain't gonna lie. Second episode, he was basically like a super simp the entire episode. He didn't care about nothing else.
100%. I mean, half of the Chainsaw Man fan base, they're simps for her. So
Yep.
God. It was quite hilarious. Like he just nothing else mattered to him at all.
But her.
The part that got me in this episode though was after he got assigned with old boy. I think his name was Aki, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
See, I got name right for once. Hallelujah.
Aki Hayakawa.
Yeah. And Aki like gave him the rundown, like, oh, you ain't taking this seriously, and go back to what you quit the force and spat on him. And he came from mine, kicked that man in the nuts, bro. That was
stomp him in the nuts. Stomp him in the nuts.
Man,
he did it too.
The conversation they had and him kicking that man nuts constantly, bro. That was the timing of that. I laughed out loud. I was laughing so hard, bro. I just didn't expect that. That man did not give a dang about anything. So yeah, watch this episode. Like I said earlier, it gave me the vibes kind of like One Punch Man did when I first watched it, where I didn't know what to expect, but it surprised me at its combination of kind of like the comedy, the action, and kind of this dance that's playing between like dark themes and lightheartedness between the protagonist. The protagonist is kind of goofy. He seems very aloof. He's in a situation now where he's being treated better than he's ever been treated, even though he's basically being a tool. He's basically like a pet for this lady to kill demons, and once he goes out of line, they'll kill him. He doesn't care as long as he doesn't have to, eat bad food and live in a hovel anymore. He's good to go. So, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
Hovel.
Yeah, he lived in a hovel.
Yeah, he pretty much. Yeah, I mean, Raheem's not exaggerating.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, what's gonna determine how I feel about the show long term is like how he interacts more with his other teammates, because at the end of the episode he was assigned with another fiend character. Her name was Power, I believe.
Yeah.
And their relationships could be interesting. The relationship with Aki. I'm looking forward to seeing more from this show. I did enjoy it. I think it's so far living up to some of the hype. I just want to see it if it gets any better down the road.
Obviously I'm not gonna have that much to say, but I will add this. Chainsaw Man is definitely one of those shows. Like I knew it was gonna be one of them. You can't get away from this ass shows, because just like Keem said, the marketing was like done pretty much all from grassroots, like nothing but fans talking about it. In the same way that like I couldn't get away from Spy Family for a long time. Like people would just be posting random manga panels from Spy Family, and I was like, man, what the fuck is this shit? And like with Spy Family, it was just wholesome enough for me to be like, all right, I'm gonna check that out. Chainsaw Man, it was just like Keem said, just every time I saw it, it's just some weird shit. I'm like, all right.
I used to always see the panel where it was like, he's just like me.
Yeah,
for real.
Like me. For real, like me.
Still
So Terrence, what did you think? Like, you see both episodes, and what did you think of them?
Yeah, I watched both episodes, and as someone who went into this not knowing really anything about it outside of just what I've seen from random meme posts and like manga posts and cosplays and everything, this show it's something like it's interesting to see this new era of like, I almost want to call them like spooky shonen, where spooky or like horror s shonen. I'm not saying that there's never been shonen to do this kind of thing before, because demons and
not
like
so
devils,
many though.
Yeah, demons and devils have always been a thing in anime and manga and whatnot. I mean, Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho, demons and devils existed in that, but not quite in the same way. Like this is definitely this and Jujutsu Kaisen, which there are a lot of parallels in my opinion. I could see someone watching this who knows nothing about Chainsaw Man. If they watch Jujutsu Kaisen and they watch this, I could definitely see them drawing parallels because there are definitely similarities between the two. How the differences between the two, I imagine, will take place later. Like as the show goes on, we'll see how things are different. But both of them definitely have that horror-esque vibe to them where there's more detail in like the demons and like they're more grotesque. You got some, Sage?
Would you throw Demon Slayer in that bucket?
Demon Slayer
Or is that
isn't
not quite horror enough for you?
It's not as grotesque. It's not.
Okay.
Like Demon Slayer is violent, but not in the same kind of way. Like,
all right,
like Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, like you see entrails and everything. It's like it's gruesome. So
yeah,
you get to you see all that, and it's just interesting to see this progression of shonen, to see that we're getting stuff that's a bit darker and a bit quote unquote like messed up. But overall, these episodes, I really enjoyed them. Denji's interesting. You could say that he's another one of those idiot shonen protagonists in a sense, but I feel like there's going to be a bit more to him as time moves on. He's not going to be like a Luffy or Goku where, he's just stupid forever, but that's just kind of like the endearing thing about him. I think, yeah, Denji's going to be stupid, but as the show progresses, I think he's going to grow and, learn more, and it's going to kind of change his worldview and whatnot. Similar to like Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen, where he's not the smartest guy in the room, but the more that he learns, the more he adapts to his situation and everything. And in the case of Denji, like this first episode, man, I feel bad for the guy. Like his whole situation was just messed up. Being left with all that debt from his dad and pretty much him taking over that debt as a kid. Him finding this demon, the little devil, the chainsaw thing. I forgot its name.
Pochita.
Pochita. Yeah. Him finding Pochita and using that to become a devil hunter, and him doing that from being a kid to his teenage years. He had a hard life, and to see the way things kind of turned toward the end, I was like, well, good for you. I guess good for you in a sense, And then we get into the second episode where we start to learn more about the devil agency or whatever they're called, where pretty much it's just an organization of devil hunters, kind of like in Jujutsu Kaisen, where you have this school that what do they call themselves in Jujutsu Kaisen? They're like demon hunters, but they have a specific term for themselves.
Curse users.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
there
curse users. Yeah. But yeah, you get to learn more about that, and I can see why the fan base likes Makima. I mean, I will say, and people have talked about this, and I'm not spoiling anything, but you can tell that there's something slightly off that is probably going to be explored later on. It's like you're coming across as a little too accepting of Denji. Like what's really going on here? And so I feel like there are some. What you got, Rakeem?
I'm about to say that's a great point, because if you remember like a part of the second episode, there was a portion where she basically told me, Denji, like, look, hey, with a smile on her face, like, hey, I'm gonna let you know right now, once you get out of line, we're gonna put you down.
Yeah.
And then he had to come with it's like he thought the whole episode early was like, oh man, she's so great. She took me out to eat. She treats me right. Will she be my girl? Let me see if she be my girl. Yeah, I'm gonna get up in there. That's my girl. Yeah. And by the end of the episode, he's like, is she a good person?
Is she a bad person?
Is she a bad person? Like, well, hold on. His worldview was changed a little bit. Like, maybe this isn't as cut and dry as I thought it was. So yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's
no.
Nice parallel.
Yeah, no, you're good. And yeah, that goes back to the thing where I think that the more that Denji learns, the more he's gonna, the world's gonna kind of shape him and like change his outlook on certain things. So maybe he won't be as quote unquote stupid as he seems right now. But I'm interested. Overall, I'm interested in it, and I was really thinking about checking out the manga, but at this point, I might just stick with the anime and see where it goes. I mean, Mappa, they're doing a great job as normal with this. They're really putting their foot into it. Yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm not like an uber fan or anything like that. I didn't really know that much about the show going into it outside just the stuff I had, random like bits and pieces that I've seen. But I like where this is going so far, and I'll stick with it until. Yeah, I'm willing to to see what happens. I'll put it that way.
That's what's up. That's what's up. As far as the manga thing, I don't recommend it. As soon as you start reading the manga, it's harder to go back to the anime. Not because it's inferior, but just because you're like, all right,
so far ahead. Yeah, it's like
yeah, you get so far ahead, and it's like, even though I often want to see the certain scenes, I often want to see them animated and see what they look like and see how they're brought to life. Even though I want to see that, it also becomes like I'm an adult with like limited time sort of thing. And so, like, even though I want to go back to My Hero and watch the My Hero anime, I'm like, I've already read it, the manga, and I could go watch this or read this manga instead. And so I just wind up never going back.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of like
I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of like Attack on Titan, where I'm really glad that I watched that, because I can't imagine reading that like without the music, the animation. Like, it would not be the same if I just read Attack on Titan. Like, so yeah, I can understand where you're coming from.
Agreed.
I did. I actually did read Attack on Titan, and luckily I found a YouTube person who did put music behind it, so I actually read it with music.
Well, I guess that's the solution.
Yes, that is the code. Rakeem Cat cracked the code. Will, what did you think of Chainsaw Man?
I'm just like y'all. I kind of got into it because the fan base didn't let up. Because they didn't let up, I was like, I'm gonna end up seeing this sooner or later in my life, ain't I? And so far I have, and I have thought about getting into the manga, but I'm kind of like you. I don't want to hop into it and get so far in and be like, yeah, I ain't finna watch the rest of this damn show and just keep reading. But these 2 episodes so far have been pretty good. I enjoyed a lot of the first episode because it kind of set Denji up. It kind of gave us exactly what Denji is. He's literally this character that is down on hard times for no reason, but he's going about it kind of happy-go-lucky in a way, and he's taking whatever he can get to kind of get by till he fucking gets killed. So yeah, it went south for him real quick in the first episode. So he came back as Chainsaw Man, and so I'm just like, oh, interesting. That's a nice way to get us into the show. Is like, oh, he's gonna die. You thought he's back.
He was dead.
Like, he was dead, and then things just went up for him. And then episode 2, I also feel like there could be another name for this show, kind of like Denji's Everyday Life or some shit, because it's kind of crazy to me how it was just like, oh, he's just a kid down his luck. Second episode, I want to touch a titty.
I want to touch boobs.
Did he say it like that?
He didn't say it like that.
He didn't say it like that, but in that episode, they go and find like a fiend, him and Aki, in a house, and he just instantly kills him off because Aki wanted him to show off his powers. But Denji was like, look, I can't do that because once these chainsaws come out, blood gets everywhere. And that's a problem. I'm just going to go ahead and take his head off with the axe and keep it clean. Now, after Aki gave him like a stern talking to in the window, Denji picked up like this dirty magazine, looked through it, and then as he was looking through it, he was thinking about boobs. And then he thought about Makima, then he crouched and said, I want to touch her boobs.
Wow.
I'm going to give better context. Remember when he picked up the mag, he said, well, now I'm bullshitting my Aki. The real reason I didn't want to turn Chainsaw Man, I don't get no blood on this porno.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Maybe he's not as dumb as we think.
He might not be. But that man, that second episode was something serious. Like him and his little infatuation with Makima was funny, and then he started questioning it later on. That was great. So, and then him getting paired up with Power. I think I'm gonna like Power as a character.
I think so too.
Because the way they put Power out is that she's a fiend, but she's also kind of like in control compared to the rest of them. She's pretty awesome right now. And shout out to her voice actress, Fairu's Eye. She's doing a great job with Power right now. So I hope she continues to get more scenes along the way, because I think Power is going to be a fun character to watch in the later bits of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's interesting powers like literally the inverse of Genji, where she's the demon possessing the human body. Well,
Yeah.
Genji has control of his body, so like he's actually dealing with an actual demon, like talking to him. Like, and
Mhm.
That's a good
she's
point.
eccentric as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and she's kind of proven that too, that the demon kind of has a bit more control, because like at the end when she kills off the sea cucumber demon, I love how that ended, because the dude was in the phone booth calling it in, like, hey, look, there's a demon downtown, it's the sea cucumber demon. She comes jumping off of like a 10-story building and smashes thing with a hammer, and it's like, did you see that? I got that kill. That's mine. My points. Get away. And he just sitting in the phone booth like, I'm gonna call y'all back. She just splattered the whole thing across this whole like intersection. So I'm just like, okay. But she looking fun to me. Chainsaw Man is looking great. I can't wait to watch more of it.
All right. The last thing we wanted to cover, I mean, like, it wasn't just the big shows.
Yeah.
There are other shows that came out this season.
What?
Yeah. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there were shows besides Bleach and Spy Family and Chainsaw Man.
How
I
can
believe
this
there's
be?
a couple, one or two maybe. And so I wanted to ask y'all, like, what did y'all see? If there's any like specials, like you got one or two that you got that like stood out that you really fucked with, ones that you're gonna go back to. Obviously, we also had Gundam Witch from Mercury. Episode 3 of that dropped. I just saw that. Pretty solid. Suletta getting more friends and starting to develop as a character is pretty great. If y'all hadn't seen it, I won't spoil the ending of the episode. The ending was kind of wild. So
It was.
not wild in a dark way, just wild in a, is that where we go with this kind of way?
I was
So
gonna say, it's a different type of anime if it's going that way.
More Yuri?
Well, I mean, the Yuri was already implied in episode 1. It's something else. But like, yeah, it's of course Gundam Witch from Mercury. We all fucked with that. But there are other anime that came out this season. I wanted to get y'all's thoughts. Terrence, what big shows that you get into?
So I watched episode 1 of Mob Psycho 100, and I would have watched more of it today, but just ran out of time. I mean, there's not really much to say about Mob Psycho at this point. Mob Psycho is one of the best anime to come out in like the past, when did it come out? Like 2017, 2018, something like that?
2017.
Yeah, we'll say 5 years. I'm pretty sure within the past 5 years. Like Mob Psycho is really good. Like, depending on how this season goes and if this season is the final season, I'm not sure if it is or not, but depending on how the season goes, I mean, Mob Psycho might be up there in like, top 100 anime discussions. Like, I guarantee it. Like, Mob Psycho is just really that good. People really mess with it, myself included. But yeah, the first episode, it was really good. I enjoyed that. I mean, Bones, when it comes to Mob Psycho, it seems like they spare no effort. There's always great care put into the art and animation. So yeah, Mob Psycho is great. I'll continue to watch more of that this season. The surprise for me that I watched, that I heard quite a bit about for the first episode, and so it made me want to check it out. And this is definitely going to be an offbeat one, is Akiba Maid Wars. I watched the first episode of that, and it's from PA Works, and PA Works, they're known for some anime that I really like. Alone in the Sea, Charlotte, and of course Angel Beats, and they've had some others as well. But so whenever something comes out from PA Works, I'll always at least check out an episode or two to see where it goes. They have had some stinkers, but for the most part, I do like the stuff that they put out. And so they're working on Akiba Maid Wars, and that first episode, it's weird. So the premise of the show is it's almost like it's taking the aspect of just out of curiosity, has anyone here seen the first episode?
I have not.
Okay.
Nine.
Okay. So the premise of the show, or at least the premise so far from what I've seen, because I've only seen one episode. I think 4 episodes are out now, and I'll probably watch more of it tonight. But the premise is they take maid cafes to like the next level. They turn maid cafes into almost kind of like a competition in a sense, in terms of there's just so many of them in this world that they're all trying to stick out in their own way. And as a result, there's kind of like this war going on behind the scenes that I don't know. Based on what happened at the end of episode 1, I don't really know quite what direction it's going in, but I'll say that this show leans more into like black comedy territories where there's definitely some parts where it's like, well, that was funny, but that was also pretty damn dark. And so, yeah, that's this show in a nutshell, where it almost feels like Madoka Magica in a sense, not like a masterclass in terms of like, I'm not comparing to Madoka Magica at all, but I mean, in terms of it kind of subverts your expectations. Like you go into it thinking one thing, and then by the end of the episode, you're like, okay, this went in a direction I definitely was not anticipating. So it's, if any of you are curious, I recommend just checking out the first episode and kind of,
you know what this low key sounds like?
What does it sound like?
And I'm sure it's pretty different from that. I had to go look it up, so y'all, I apologize. But like, it reminds me, because like you saying they taking the Maid Cafe way more serious than you'd expect them to. It sounds like that one anime where they were fighting in grocery stores.
Oh, Bento? Yeah. It's not quite like Bento. Bento was a bit more shonen like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Bento, they were actually like boxing and everything. Like they were throwing hands.
Yeah, they was throwing down in it. I was like, damn, over some half price Bento. Is that real?
I'll say this, and maybe this will get you all interested in checking it out. Just the first episode. By the end of the episode, two of the maids goes from their cafe to the other cafe, and pretty much kind of like declares war on them in a sense. And by the time the episode ends, one side is minus some maids. I'll put it that way. Like they essentially shoot up the club.
Shoot up the club has different meanings now.
I was,
but it's
not
sound
that,
like you thinking of the
not that kind of shoot up the club. not the kind of shoot up the club that leads to boom, da-doom, boom, da-doom.
I'm about to say, my question is, how you gonna hate from outside of the club? You can't even get in.
They shot it up, so they ain't got to worry about getting in. That's the problem. Problem solved, apparently.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But anyway, this show was it was kooky. I'll put it that way. And I read because I really wanted to watch the second episode, and I kind of read the synopsis for the second episode, so I kind of know what happens. I'm still going to check it out, but it seems like it continues to lead into that kind of like darker direction. So it's not just like a one-off kind of thing. So
okay,
I'm interested to see how it turns out. It might be one of those wild card of the seasons. Go ahead, Will.
I did end up seeing like a small clip that's been floating around Twitter, and people are like, I recommend y'all watch this. And I think it's from the latest episode. I'm not sure, but it was a small clip from it. And I'm like, and there is a fight scene. I will tell you that now. So there's a fight scene coming up somewhere. I don't know what episode, but it's happening.
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to it then. This is, like I said, this might be a wild card of the season. One of those shows where most people will probably overlook it, but those that are looking for something different outside of like the big shows that are like the obvious heavy hitters this season, if you're looking for something different, then this might be one to check out. I'll put it that way. Or it could, crash and burn. We'll see.
Hopefully the former rather than the latter, but you never know. When people reach and try something different, they don't always succeed. You know how that goes.
PA Works also is notorious for kind of botching the landing in a sense for some of their anime.
They got that Sunrise problem.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm talking about, Will, because I know like you've seen have you seen Charlotte?
I have not, but I've watched quite a few of their shows.
Yeah. Well, even like Angel Beats, it feels like they kind of rushed the ending on that. I won't say they botched it, but it feels like Angel Beats should have been longer than what it was. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, hopefully it will be good.
Will, what you got for me, man? Did you watch anything like outside of the big, not big three, but like outside of these these major series? Did you watch anything?
Yeah, actually, the show that I really just decided, you know what, I'm gonna try to sit with this one because this one seems interesting enough. Blue Lock.
Yes, I was hoping one of you had watched it. I've been hearing a lot about it. I've heard that if you don't fuck with sports anime, like this is one to watch.
Yeah, like right now, honestly, even just getting past like the first episode, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm kind of hooked in with what they're trying to do, and I like how it starts you off on like, hey, this is just these two particular players, I'm gonna call them like central protagonists of this episode, the central protag and another guy. Like they're kind of going there on the field, and they're just having an amazing match, and it's animated pretty well too. If I had to say so myself, it's really well.
It is.
It's kind of nicely animated, so that's a good thing. Um, Everything's fine with him. Then he leaves. Like the third years of getting ready to leave. You know how that goes. It's sad because the senpai are leaving, so it's time for the next people to move on up and get the next set in. But the main guy, he's in the back while everybody else is kind of boo-hooing and crying about it. He just like, no. He just, yeah, like the coach is giving this speech and he's just like, we couldn't even get this far doing what we needed to do. We couldn't even get to nationals. And you up here boo-hooing right now? What's your problem? But it took him leaving to actually like start really like shedding his tears like, damn it, we could be better. And I'm just like, yeah, y'all could be. But he gets this letter that's like, hey, you get to be a premier athlete, show up. And then all of a sudden, he's in a room with like 299 other people. It's 300 people, him included. And they're all like the best players from Japan. And it literally turns this whole sports anime literally on its head to like almost like a battle royale type situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it also does this thing where, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought these were all fake people they were throwing in as examples of people who had like an ego. I kid you not, I thought they were fake. The first one was actually a fake, apparently, but the next two they put in like stuff from Pele. They're like, these are players that have egos. If you don't have an ego, you're not going far. You're not going to be great. You want to be the best striker in Japan? Beat the rest of these men in this room. Who's better? You or them? And I'm just like, this is looking good. And they had them playing tag with a soccer ball, bro. I said, yeah, they trying to kill each other right here. I want to see what they're gonna do with this one. And the best way to put it, I love it because someone said it before I watched it. Someone said that think of Blue Lock as like Fire Force but soccer, and I was like, huh, interesting.
That is a great pitch.
Hopefully it won't have a what's her name? What's the character that always gets naked?
I think her name is Tamaki.
Yeah, Tamaki. Yeah, hopefully it won't have a Tamaki.
Yeah.
No lucky
Blue
electric
Lock
powers.
It's like,
yeah, but right now Blue Lock looks good,
show.
and the main character is proving that he really might be the badass here. He's really proving it right now. In just the first episode, he's just like, I want this more than y'all do. Y'all can't beat me. I love it.
Rakeem, what did you check out, bro?
So, Will pretty much stole mine. I was gonna say Blue Lock. So I won't go too much into this. Will pretty much spelled it out pretty well. I will say one thing I really enjoyed about Blue Lock was that it was turning things you would think was going to happen on its head. Because most sports anime, they in the beginning when the main character lost the game against the other team and they didn't get to go to nationals, they turn on his head the idea of teamwork because the reason they lost because he passed the ball. He did the thing you expected to do. He relied on his teammates, and he lost the game. And so that the part of the plot of that first episode was that he knew something was missing, but he couldn't explain it until they had the speech when they went to the Blue Lock tournament, where the proctor explained to them that, like, look, to be these ideologies of teamwork and greatness and all this stuff about teamwork, none of that. You know what wins games? Shooters who can shoot the ball into the goal. That's how you win the game. Shooters shoot. And of course, people who try and deny that and whatever, but it's like he knew, he was saying out loud, oh, it's not true. It's about teamwork and this. But in the back of his mind, he was like, nah, screw that. I want to win. So another reason I like, I think Blue Lock, because it kind of has the trappings of almost like the death game type of anime. You think like a Danganronpa. So nobody's dying in this anime. The only thing you do is they send you home. You can't join the national team. You can't join the World Cup.
You'll never play for Japan.
You'll never play for Japan in the World Cup. And the reason it's like they're so extreme about it because they've looked at the data of Japan just coming behind everybody in the World Cup every single year. And I guess as a group conglomerate, they decided, look, we got to do something different. We got to find some skilled shooters to change the fortunes of this team. That's why they go into such extremes. And what's also cool about this, you haven't gone past first episode. I have seen the second episode, but I'll just give you a general idea. It's like people outside of this experiment aren't cool with it either. Like there's a certain point when they talk to some news reporters, and everybody's like, "Why are you doing this to these kids? You isolate them from their families. They doing this
that's
crazy
the part I forgot to
competition.
mention.
This doesn't make any sense." And they were like, "Look, they signed the waivers. What you about to say, Will?"
That's the part I didn't mention, Sage and Terrence. They go into this, they cannot go home. And what was so funny that the proctor gave them the chance. He's like, lock off. If you want to leave, exit. But guarantee you not coming to this team if you think you're gonna win. If you wanna go do your nationals, go ahead. But you're not joining this World Cup team. So you want to stay here and get in? Get in.
Kind of sounds like a Squid Game in a sense.
Almost, yeah. He said,
Well, I mean, you did
leave.
mention that it was like a battle royale, so yeah.
Yeah, it's more like that, yeah. But I didn't mention that detail. He was like, "You gonna be here for 6 months. You ain't seeing your family, so you gonna be here."
That's such a long time.
Yeah. Another part of the show that's important is that the protagonist has like this, I don't call it like aura, or like this thing inside of him that he can't explain. It's like that comes out of him spontaneously. And there's another character who's with him describes it later as, you have a monster inside of you. And the reason I helped you because I have a monster inside of me, so I know where it's coming from. You have that instinct, that killer instinct to just destroy everything out of like raw reaction time. What are you saying, Terrence?
Is this their equivalent of like the Zone from?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay,
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Man.
The eyes are the same and everything, so it's like circular, but you see like the little lights and stuff. It's very similar to that, which is funny because the Zone is such a funny concept because it's real.
Yeah.
If you've ever played sports
It's
long
real.
enough, you know what I'm talking about. Like if you play basketball and you just suck, but just one game, you hit every shot. And it's unexplained, like momentum and energy and everything just was all on your side. The Zone. It's just a crazy concept. It's not something you can really explain, I guess, but it is kind of real. But yeah, so Blue Lock definitely was the one I was looking for many months ago on this very podcast. I sat here, I think during the spring anime season, I said, I'm looking for a sports anime, to switch things up. And I thought it was going to be
that for
Aohashi.
2 seasons.
I have. And I was like, I thought it was going to be Aohashi, and I never could summon up enough energy to watch it. But Blue Lock, I'm watching that. I'm caught up. I'm going to catch up on the newest episode when it comes out. I'm enjoying that. The only other one I would like to mention, I think me and Sid got to watch this Shinobi no Toki.
I've been seeing that on Crunchyroll. I need to watch that too.
It's not.
Does that get any better?
It's not amazing. Well, I might call all the way up, but just mention I watched it.
Well, what I'm saying is, I watched one episode and I was like, "That's enough." So what I'm asking you is, did episode 2 get any better?
I didn't watch episode 2. I was mentioning I saw the first episode. Wasn't all the way cut up on it yet. I just thought I was mentioning it because the concept's interesting because it's a anime about a kid who finds out that he's part of a ninja clan. Looking back on it though, it was really obvious this kid was not normal when he was going to school with a freaking bodyguard. People were always very careful around him. His mother was very careful about everything he did and like minuscule. So if you look at the hints going back watching again, it kind of made sense that he was part of some legendary clan. What makes it cool though is this is like ninjas but modern day. Like they have a modern technology slant. They have more realistic body armor. They use modern day technology like camo and stuff like that. And I just think that's a cool concept. So that's the reason I kind of checked it out. I'm gonna check out the second episode, see how I like it. I don't know if I'll keep watching it, but I want to see how it goes into him becoming a ninja and learning ninjutsu in the modern day. That's a cool take. So that was the only other one I watched besides Gundam. Of course, we all watched that. So yeah, those are my picks: Blue Lock, Shinobi no Toki, and of course Gundam, the Witch from Mercury.
We've been over Gundam Witch from Mercury, so I won't delve into that. Of course, we all watching it. Or at least we've all watched it. I intend to finish it. The two that I guess I'll bring up. This one wasn't crazy, but like I need to go back and watch the next episode. But me and Keem watched it together. Legend of Mana, based on like the Square Enix game. Very strange show. Like we went through the whole episode and it was just like he was just going around talking to NPCs. It was like he just never left the starter town. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Keem, what's up, man?
It's my turn. Did that show get any better? Because I saw one episode. I was like, that's enough. That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah,
I was so confused.
I'm willing to go back and check out Legend of Mana for a couple of reasons. One,
the game was good.
The game was decent. and like it's got a unique premise to it. That's something that Shinobu no Toki, like it's a unique-ish premise, but it's got a lot of those same kind of anime tropes that Terrence was talking about, to where I was like, all right, I mean, like, because the whole premise behind it is him being like a ninja or whatever, and it's like she didn't, like, his mom is like the ninja lord, and she never trained her son to be a ninja. She gave him like the reflex training and like the reaction time stuff, but she didn't train him specifically to be a ninja. And so like when things go left, and that's as much I'm gonna spoil for it just in case somebody would want to watch it. But when things go left on him, as they are wont to do, because it's a story, you gotta have a story, you gotta have some conflict. As soon as things go left on him, he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to react. He doesn't know, like, it's not oh, his instincts kicked in. Like, no, he panics. He like, what the fuck is happening? What's going on? Why is this all? Oh shit! And I'm like, she had 15 years to train you. Like, why didn't she tell you was a ninja? Why didn't you know? Why weren't you ready for this? Why weren't you prepared? And then there's a twist ending at the end, and that's what I really was like. You definitely should have told him, and you definitely should have prepared him if he was going to do this. And so like that one, I got turned off. With Legend of Mana, I had every intention of watching that today, but I just literally ran out because like the other show that I'm going to talk about, I hadn't seen any of that, and I wanted to at least be able to bring more than one anime to the table. Because I mean, like, I wasn't even gonna bring up Shinobu no Toki, which has a real name, but I never looked it up, so whatever. But yeah, Legend of Mana, it was just a very strange episode. Very pretty, beautifully animated. Like this season has had a ton of gorgeous anime. I don't know if it's just the first couple episodes thing, or if they're gonna maintain that same level of quality across the entire series. But Bleach was gorgeous. Legend of Mana is gorgeous. Gundam Witch from Mercury is stunning. There are so many anime. Spy Family goes without saying. Like we've all talked about how pretty that is. So like it's been so many like high profile pretty anime, and I'm probably considering I think Warner Brothers is in on this Legend of Mana adaptation. The money is probably right. The time and the effort that the animators are going to be able to put in probably all going to line up to make a pretty anime. I would have liked to have known what in the hell happened, like. Because he literally, like the main character, there's no plot. They didn't set up a story. He just walked around like, and it could be because me and Keem, whenever I'm watching things with my roommates, I'm probably gonna miss a lot of stuff because we always like chopping it up, talking, having conversations. So it could be that I missed all the plot, or it could have been that there wasn't no damn plot and he was just hanging out with the NPCs for the whole episode. And I'm going with the second one mostly because it's funny that way. But I'll probably try to rewatch it just to see what's up. And then the other one I saw. That I brought up on this podcast a couple of weeks ago is the Eminence in Shadow. Eminence in Shadow, if you thought you knew what was going on, if you knew what was going on, if you knew the description going in, it's a very confusing first episode because the protagonist is like, he kind of is what he wants to be, as opposed to like it being obvious he's not the cool guy he thinks he is. He kind of is that cool guy in the first episode. There's the episode opens with this girl who's like really popular at school, and it's like, do y'all remember Terrence Will? Do y'all remember Gamers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the one super popular girl, and she's upset because like she's not getting the right attention from everybody equally and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like one of the characters in the opening episode of Eminence in Shadow is like that, where she's like considered the chosen one at the school, and then there's just this one person that's just like, he don't even remember her name, and he actually at one point refers to her as an NPC, and like she is apparently so famous that she like does like acting roles and shit like that, and he's still like, yeah, I usually remember everybody's important name, but I just I guess you the NPC, I guess I forgot, and like what winds up happening is that she's so famous she actually gets kidnapped, which is weird because apparently she had already been kidnapped before the story started. She was like, oh, this is just like the last time I got kidnapped. I'm like, well, goddamn, how many times you getting kidnapped? Like, at some point, you should think to put like a fucking group around you or something, like some bodyguards.
What?
Yeah. So she gets kidnapped, and it gets into, it almost goes to like some grimy Skeleton Knight type shit, but it don't quite get there, right? It stops just shy of that because like the main character actually shows up and does something. And he shows up, and like, even though he's supposed to be like a kid with delusions, he like beats the brakes. In fact, fuck that, beats the brakes. He murders them. He shows up with 2 fucking crowbars and murders the people that kidnapped her.
Damn, he hits him with the Joker?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Yeah.
What?
He actually, Jason Todd, one of them dudes. It was wild because he was like, yeah, crowbars are actually great weapons for fighting out in the urban society. Because if you get caught with them, you can always lie and say that you was going to plan to do with something else with them. And, I've been going around beating up motorcycle gangs and shit like that. And I'm like, beating up motorcycle? What in the fuck is going on? And so, at one point, the dude is like, the guy he's fighting is like, yeah, I'm bigger than you, so all I got to do is resist your blows, and if you take one, you're gonna be out. I'm like, well, first off, I don't care what size you are. If I hit you in the elbow with a crowbar, your shit gonna be done for. But the protagonist was like, no, what if I just flip this goddamn crowbar around and smack you with the pointed part of it? And he like cracks the dude up, and dude's like, oh wait, shit, and like he finally gets like a nice little blow to the dude's head, and the dude just like crumples, and I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I guess you done now. You can just, free and get the fuck out of there. He was like, no. I got this Joker thing to do. And he literally like cracks the dude's head open. They don't show it, but the dude's like begging for his life. He's like, no, wait, smack. And you can like hear like the sickening like head like being fucked up and the blood and like all that shit. And it like you just hear it multiple times. And like eventually, like the police show, like he finishes them off, cuts the girl free, and then just kind of leaves, and the cops show up. And I'm like, don't pretend like these ain't bodies. Like don't act like if you hit somebody in the head with a crowbar that many times, like eventually the dude just stopped begging, because I mean, like I assume he was just brain dead. And like I'm like, what the fuck? And then like, okay, so you thinking knowing what the description is, like, okay, well it's probably maybe I at first I was almost like, am I watching the right anime? Like, what in the hell happened? But then like the guy gets isekai, and it happens while he's so deep in fantasy about how he always wanted to learn martial arts and be the cool dude manipulating everything from the shadows, but he can't be invincible to nukes and all this other shit that he talking about. If I got cornered by guns, I probably would be done. But then I could be a fighter, but then I still wouldn't be immune to nukes. I just have to take a nuke. And he's so busy fantasizing about that, he doesn't pay attention to like a truck, and Truck Coon takes him the fuck out.
Truck Coon claims another one. Oh boy,
greatest villain of all. Truck Coon.
I swear, bro, man is undefeated.
So Truck Coon brings him to another world where he's like, it's magic and shit, and now he's back to his same old shenanigans. And I will say there's one really funny part at the tail end of the first episode, because he gets like reincarnated, but he has his full memory as a baby, so it's almost like Mushoku Tensei, except like Rudy is, you can see there's almost like 2 personalities. There's like the childlike version of him, and then there's the actual original version of him in his head as well. This one, he's like, it's just him. And so like he's born, and like his parents are like, I think there's something wrong with him. He's not crying. Like the kids are supposed to cry, aren't they? And he's like, oh yeah. Where? Like the fake fucking baby cry. Like, what the fuck? So he's just going through life trying to fake his way, but he still wants to be like that big boss in the shadows, running everything and take control.
Hence, eminence in the shadows, huh?
Yeah, he still wants to be, literally, he calls himself the eminence in shadows. He wants to be that. And like the first, I didn't get a chance to finish the second episode because I was like halfway through it right when we started the episode, and like it wound up with him talking a girl into like believing his bullshit, his fantasy bullshit about, yeah, we're fighting this dangerous doomsday cult that's been working to take over the world, and she fell for it or whatever. And this kid is like a super murderer. Like, not only did he murder 2 people in that, like in the second episode, he really gets to murdering people. He didn't pull it out. He got like a symbiote sword and costume or whatever. They don't call it a symbiote. It's like a slime sword and a slime costume, but it operates basically like a fucking symbiote. And he just like runs into these bandits and just like slices and dices them. Like, and this time they show it. Like, he's decapitating dudes and cutting them in half, bifurcating them and shit. I'm like, holy fuck. Like, he needs to be this goofy. Otherwise, the show is like really grim and gritty. And even with him being goofy, I'm still like, man, this show is kind of dark as fuck. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to stick with it for long. Not because I'm like squeamish or anything. Like, I don't really care about some scrubs getting their head cut off or whatever. But I don't know. Like, it depends on how long they can keep this gimmick going, because there's only so much delusion before like somebody needs to tell you, hey, shut the fuck up. You actually fighting what you think you fighting. This ain't no storybook. You're not LARPing. You actually fighting like a doomsday, or not doomsday, but like you actually fighting a cult trying to take over the world, and you need to be serious about this. I don't know how long I can keep the gimmick going, and I don't know if they just keep the gimmick going for like the whole series, or if he finally figures it out. I may actually wind up doing some research and just to know, because like otherwise, I mean, I'm all too happy to cut it. Not because it's bad, but because there's always something else that I could be watching, from like the archives, like go back and finish more You're Under Arrest or some shit like that. Some 90s, whatever. I indulge my 90s geek and just like go for
police.
Or shoot, there's tons of anime this season to check out. So I mean, hey, if one bites the dust, there's always one waiting in the bushes.
that. Exactly.
Yep.
So like that's why I'm like, I don't know. Like I liked what I saw, but that gimmick, they're gonna have to do something with it. They're gonna have to evolve the gimmick, or like break the gimmick out, like break the gimmick down at some point before the suspension of disbelief is just gonna be too fucking much for me.
I'm
But
not gonna lie, Sage.
what's up?
It almost sounds like the dude's story sounds like a supervillain origin story.
It really do.
He does sound like he is very much a don't understand the consequences of his own actions, because he acts like he wants to be a villain, but he acts it like he wants to be a villain in the same way that people in real life like, oh, I'm gonna be the villain, and I'm like, yeah, who you murdering? Murder? I mean, like, it ain't got to be all of that. Like when you start comparing all the shit that a villain actually does, they're like, oh man, I just mean I'm gonna be a generic dick to people. And in this dude, it's like he don't really get like the gravity of what he's doing to people, because he's just going around, because he literally shows up to like some bandits and is like, hey bro, all that shit you just stole, you kill all those people, hand it over, give me the goods. He said something like generic fucking cough up the money or whatever. What's the stereotypical give me your money, give me all your jewels, or what, some type shit. He said that bullshit, and I was like, what in the fuck is going on? This character, he does feel like he could be a villain or a hero at any moment. And like but I mean, he definitely leans more towards being a anti-hero, because his sister gets kidnapped, which is actually really funny, because his sister was like supposedly way more talented than him. But like, you know how in Isekai that like the main character is like hiding his abilities, but he wind up showing them off all the time to everybody, so it's not really hiding. This, he's actually hiding. Like his sister, he's like so busy trying to pretend to be like an average person, and his sister is like talented, and she like swings a sword at him, and at one point he's just like, okay, well, let me show you how this actually works. But he's showing the viewer, he's not showing her. He moves and like basically does like 5 or 6 slices where he could have killed her if he wanted to, but he doesn't. Pulls his sword just shy of it, and then just stands in the way of her sword to get hit, and he just lets himself get hit at the last second, because she couldn't register how fast he was moving. And so finally he just like gets in the way, and it's just like, all right, I'll just take the damage. And then like he gets knocked away. He's like, oh, you got me again. It's like, all right, I get the joke. I mean, like I'm like chuckling at it for right now, but like these type of gag heavy stories, if they don't One Punch Man it up eventually, like expand on the gimmick, expand on the world around them. If you don't expand on the gimmick, I get tired of them really quickly. So I don't know if I'm gonna stick with this, but I do think this is a great season overall. So I mean, I'm whether this is good or not, I'm happy with what we have right now.
Yeah,
now
I agree.
I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. And if you enjoyed it, I need a few things from you. I need you to do us a favor. Hit that subscription button on YouTube. I need you to follow us on Twitter, on your TikToks. I need you to tell your friends about us. And I need you to do me a personal favor and have an excellent week. Peace.